Good morning, everyone, and please silence your cell phones. We start with reading the unity statement of reading from the front of your hymnal, and then the 5 unity principles. There is one presence and one power in this church, in our lives, and in the universe. God the good and omnipotent. 5 unity principles. Number 1, God is absolute good, everywhere present. Number 2, God lives in us, therefore we are inherently good. Number 3, we have co-creators with God and create our experiences through our thoughts. Number 4, prayer is creative thinking that heightens our connection with God mind. And number 5, it is not enough to simply know these principles, we must live the truth we know. Please open your hymnals to hymn number 2 and stand. And we must pray.
It's our time of meditation, where we gently close the door. We move inwards, where we lay aside anything that we were dealing with. Thoughts we were entertaining, the situations or circumstances that we are currently experiencing, in recognition that all things serve a purpose. Though we may not know what that purpose may be, we recognize the necessity of what is. For what is meant to be. And so we relinquish and let go to the superior intelligence surrounding what is. And gently go within the exterior into an interior that is supremely vast, more vast than anything we could ever experience in the external. For in this immense space is all that you are. And all that you are is one with all that there is. And so I invite you to just simply experience the beauty and the magnificence that is you. Experience it and allow yourself to be transformed by it. For in this gentle space, this silence, anything that you ever thought you could need is right there. Any question that you ever thought you would have, the answer is right there. Here's where you are being invited to go. To experience your source. To experience your providence. To experience the hidden wisdom So as we are merely being now, not concerning ourselves with doing, just being, for that is enough. It is always enough, for you are everything. Experiencing that and the realization of that, know that spirit is right here, one with you in this space that is you. And there is no part of you that spirit is not. Nature of spirit to constantly bring forth a newness, a refreshing, a regenerative energy that stimulates, nurtures, and uplifts, and brings forth transformation. Brings forth the raising of consciousness. That is the nature of all things. To continue to move along their evolution, continue to expand and grow. The universe is constantly nature of all things. What is the nature of you? What is the nature of your understanding and your consciousness? It's constantly being stimulated to expand and grow. It's in this understanding that we gently come into the realization that all things serve a purpose for our highest good. Whether we know the purpose or not, it matters not. The highest good is still being expressed. We are continuing to grow, experience more of our potential. So be still, brothers and sisters. Relax in the knowing that all is well. That there is a certainty, even when things may seem uncertain, always exists. So as we are beginning to contemplate these ideas of certainty in the midst of uncertainty, as we're beginning to contemplate these ideas of a constant flow of energy that is constantly expanding, constantly uplifting us, inviting us to be more of who we are, bringing forth greater versions of ourselves from the visibility. As we are entertaining these thoughts, as we are contemplating these beautiful truths about ourselves, know that all minds are joined. Know that all intentions are always answered. And in this sacred space that is within us, it is my intention to bring forth a new message. A message that has not been expressed. So I invite you to join me in this intention of creating a new message that will continue along the evolutionary path that's been laid out before us of growth and expansion, becoming more of what we already were in potential. Actuality, bringing forth those greater versions of ourselves into manifestation. See these things taking place as a result of your experience. See the new realizations and how you would feel upon learning something new, experiencing something new, something that propels you in new directions, new ways of seeing things, new understandings that follows that path of the new, of the regenerative. How would you feel? What excitement would you feel? What gratitude would you feel? What wonderment would you feel? I invite you to feel that excitement, and that gratitude, and that wonderment right now. I invite you to give these instructions to Spirit through your thoughts and your feelings, to let Spirit know the destination you choose to experience. And relinquish any expectation, any worry, any thoughts of how it is to be, and just allow Spirit to naturally take us there. To allow this manifestation to naturally come forth, which is the process of creation. Join me in that intention, brothers and sisters. For where two or more gather together, everything becomes possible. There is nothing we cannot do. Hold that feeling. Hold that intention. Hold that energy. Hold that vision of seeing yourself now, seeing things from a new vantage point, new way of seeing, excitement, and joy. Feel that joy and that excitement right now. Know that it is done. Know that all intentions are instantaneously answered. It is already done. So I invite you to feel gratitude now. The feeling and energy of gratitude. Allow it to fill your heart for that which is already done. For Spirit has already received your coordinates of where you desire to be. So Spirit will now take us to the place of our choosing. So let us feel this gratitude for this day, for this message that we are to receive, for the beautiful realization that we are to experience in the name and after the loving nature of our source, of spirit, of principle. And so it is. Amen. Did everyone receive a handout? We were giving handouts for the next song that we're about to sing. It's becoming a congregational favorite. It's entitled Use Me. So would everyone please stand? And before we sing this song, would everybody please stand? Before we sing this song, I do want to say a few words. This ministry has a hole in it. It has a hole in it. It is grieving. For we lost one of our own who joyously was a part of this community. So he has now made his transition. And it was completely unexpected. His name was Tarsisius. Anyone who knew Tarsisius knew that he was a talented individual. He was talented. He was loving. He was joyful. He knew about service to community. He served in the choir. He served as a prayer chaplain and a team leader of the prayer chaplains. He served in other ways. He was very creative as far as coming up with ways in which he could contribute to Unity of New Orleans Spiritual Center. And he was a friend of mine, as I know he was a friend of many of you. And so we will honor our brother Tarcisius. We will honor him with a moment of silence as we think about all the wonderful gifts that he brought to this ministry. The love and joy that he shared was part of him in recognition that he was one with a community, as a community was one with him. So let us be silent. So how's everybody doing? Well, right now I'm grateful to be here. My heart is a little heavy. So that's how I am right now. So, are we ready? All right. Here we go. So, the name of my talk is A River That Flows. A river that flows. When you think of a river, any type of river, you notice that it provides life. There's an energy that is flowing, and that river is filled with life, and it is providing life to all of the ecosystems that are along that river. And as a matter of fact, that even spread out miles from that river. So many ecosystems that are supported by that life that's flowing with life. The river that flows. And so, today, I'm here to talk about service. Yesterday we had a beautiful demonstration of service with our brothers and sisters, that we have a fence that needs restoring. And it has to be restored in such a way that it still has the same appearance as it did in 1963 when this building was first established. We're in a historical district. So we can't just replace the fence with, like, say, a brand new fence, or a fence that, has a new type of steel or a new design. We can't do that here. So we have to restore the fence. And so what I witnessed yesterday was a beautiful community coming together in love, coming together in caring and giving, wanting to provide the restoration of that fence. It was truly moving. And even in the midst of what I was feeling as far as our loss of our dear Tarcisius, it was easy to see the beauty that was expressing in that moment. The beauty. It was transformational. And so, the question that I have for everyone here is, what are you seeing? What are you seeing? You see, I've said this many times, that what you see determines everything. Everything flows from what you see. What do you see as far as yourself? What do you see, and what is your idea of who you are? What are you seeing? From this place that you're seeing, then what are you expressing? What are you seeing? Are you seeing things from the individualized self, the me, my, I perspective? Because if you are seeing things from the me, my, I perspective, then perhaps the idea of giving in service is not going to resonate with you. Perhaps it's not really going to, be something that's in your first mind to do at that point. If it's really just about, the me, my, I perspective. And I'm not saying that that's always the case. There's always circumstances. But when you have a situation where you're seeing things from that whole individualized, that finite self, everything that you do is going to come from that place. Everything that you express is going to come from that place of what you think you are. Our brother Paul, he nailed it when he said that when he talked about the body of Christ, he talked about how we're all parts of a body. You know, and it's the same thing with this community. We are all necessary. We are all necessary for the continuance, for the expansion, for the growth, for everything, for this ministry, for this church to thrive. This church does not thrive alone. This church thrives with you. And so when you see yourself as part of this spiritual community, you take ownership of it. This is my spiritual community. This is my church. And so at that point, you come from this place in all of your things, in giving, or in service, or in anything. A new idea, I wonder how that would actually help the church. Something that we haven't even thought about before, that is waiting to be birthed in you. A new idea, a new something that we could try, that's being birthed through you, you see? You see, I wonder if that would actually help, Beauty of New Orleans, Because, it's where your passions are. It's where your gifts are, And it's when you bring those passions and those gifts, that we all thrive as a community. Everybody with me? So what is transformation? Because there's many of our brothers and sisters here who are desiring transformation. I know, I can see it in your eyes. I know who you are. I know who you are. Okay? They're desiring to experience new truths, new ways of understanding, new experiences that will then take them to, or you desire to experience these things to take you to new ways of experiencing life. Where you can utilize these new tools to take you to new thresholds that you haven't experienced before. What is transformation? Well, I had to think about that. And so what I came up with was transformation is when the who that you are is so far removed from the who that you were, that the who that you were is almost things like a half-remembered dream. I'm sure we can all identify with that. In the inevitability of life, we all experience numerous things that take us to, and a lot of these things don't feel good. A lot of these things challenge us, and we feel pressured by it. We get stressed, or we get uncomfortable. But we're not realizing that there's this transformational process that's actually happening. That's actually taking us, that's actually expanding our consciousness to experience things that we couldn't even imagine in that former version of ourselves. It was so far beyond us that, it was just like, it seemed like fantasy back then. And now we're seeing it as reality now. Everybody understand what I'm saying? And now we're beginning to see it. But see, we experience that by going through these things, and we also experience that through service. We experience that transformation through creating a meaningful life. A meaningful life. And how do you create meaning? How do you really create meaning? You create meaning through helping. Through recognizing that this is more than just you. There's more than just you in this equation. There's more than just you. And so you are part of a whole. And as part of a whole, you are doing your part. As part of a whole, it is up to you to safeguard the legacy that has been handed to us. As a matter of fact, you are part of this world. So we're not just talking about the spiritual community. We're talking about you're part of this world. You're part of your brothers and sisters, you see. You're a part of all life. But you're not going to see these truths when you're coming from the place of the whole me, my, I. There are so many things that are going to miss us. Going to completely fly over our head. We're not going to see any of it. Going to completely miss us. In the book of Mark, chapter 9, verses 33 through 35, our elder brother, Rabbi Yeshua ben Joseph, was explaining that to his disciples when they were arguing amongst themselves who was the greatest as far as the disciples. Who was the greatest? They were talking about this. They were coming from this standpoint of the world that we've been indoctrinated into, this whole ego perspective of what we think great is, or what the world teaches us that great is. And so he asked them, what were you all arguing about? So they were kind of like ashamed at that point. They were kind of silent. And they didn't want to say to Rabbi Yeshua what they were really arguing about, but he knew what they were arguing about. And he said he wanted them to sit around until he could tell them some wisdom. And he said, whoever would be first must be last of all and servant of all. Whoever would be first must be last of all and servant of all. So what did that scripture mean? Well, it meant so many things. But before I go into that, I want to talk a little bit about my journey that gradually led me into ministry, as far as being a minister, a servant. So, this was in the midst of, I was at the peak of owning a business, and I had business partners. And we had numerous employees. And so I filled my life up with all the things that I thought were the things to have, the things that were going to, that meant being successful. So that meant driving a nice car, having a luxury apartment, living in a nice side of town, a luxury apartment, things like that, going to social events all the time, and, meeting people, all sorts of influential people. And so, this is what I thought, success was. This is what I thought, this was the American dream, what I thought. But what I began to experience over time, I began to experience, there's nothing wrong with black and white television or black and white movies, but I began to see like this losing of color in my experience, this lessening of when the food just didn't taste as good, and things weren't as vibrant and rich anymore. And gradually, things just began to just be kind of just black and white. It was just dull, lifeless, And I made a lot of money. But there was nothing there. There was just nothing, and I really was. And I was at the point where I was a prime candidate for stepping into addictive behavior at that point. I'm realizing that now. I was a prime candidate at that point. That's usually when people, get addicted to things. Okay. And so, what I did instead was, I took a sabbatical, a 6-month sabbatical. I told my business partners, hey, I can't do this right now. I'm just not in the place. I need to go for a little bit. So I took a 6-month sabbatical, and so I began to do things that I didn't do before. I began to do things that I never even thought of before. I began to, volunteer at food pantries and things like that. And, just things that I would have thought, what are you doing? I began to do that. I decided I wanted to learn Spanish. I always talk about learning Spanish, so I decided to, start learning Spanish. I still don't speak Spanish very good, but at the same time, I am able to have a semi-fluent conversation with someone that speaks Spanish, So, I learned Spanish, and, during this time, I was also invited, because I was attending Unity Houston. I was a long-time congregant there at Unity Houston. And so I was invited by the director, the volunteer director, as far as if there was something that I'd like to do there. So I said, I can't really answer that right now, but let me think about it, and I'll get back with you next Sunday. And so when I thought about it, I said, where I'd like to really volunteer. I really thought about it because, I believe in the power of prayer. Even in this dull, lifeless experience, I still would, go to the prayer chaplains and pray for business deals and pray for all sorts of things. Pray for my favorite sports teams, everything. It didn't matter what it was. I would pray for it. It didn't in that. I believe in the power of prayer. I always have believed in the power of prayer. Prayer works. Okay? And so I said, you know what? That's what I'd like to do. I'd like to be a prayer chaplain. And so I became a prayer chaplain. And went through the training and everything. But what I want to shortcut to all this is just to say that gradually what I began to experience was my color began to start coming back into my world. I began to start experiencing meaning. I began to start experiencing the joy of meaningful life. As I began to just really, I began to realize that I was really giving to myself. Even though I thought that, I'm really doing this for somebody else, and yes, there is that in that equation. But what I really found was that I was really a greater recipient of what I thought that I was giving to somebody else. It's like when people would thank me as far as prayers and stuff like that, I'm like, I want to say thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to support you, to show love, to show love and really show that, or help you in whatever way that I can help you. I participate because it's really all spirit. It doesn't really have anything to do with me, but it's just really me just being this place of support, participating with them to bring forth realizations that they need to experience. And I was so grateful for that opportunity. And so life began to take on a whole new meaning for me. It began to be something completely different for me. All of a sudden, it's like, wow. This is what gradually led me to ministry, you see. This is what gradually led me to the man who's standing before you right now, giving you this message. I'm just telling you my life story. Service is everything. It is everything to serve. And you are not just giving like your energy to nothing. No, you're actually benefiting or receiving it. Now, if you have to do it begrudgingly, then don't do it. Because see, now you're seeing the lack at that point. So don't even do it because you're not going to experience the gifts and the benefits from it if you don't really want to do it anyway. You see? So now you're seeing the lack in this whole thing that you don't really want to do anyway. You see? So I would just say, don't even do it. Don't even do it. Because those benefits that you would actually get, as far as what I'm experiencing, as far as your life just expanding and everything, you're not going to experience that because you're looking at lack now. Everybody with me? Okay. But it also comes from what are you seeing, you see? Because if you're literally seeing yourself as part of a whole, I can guarantee you, you're not going to see so much of that begrudgingly stuff. Because you're part of a whole. Because now, see, this is your function as part of a whole. But see, when you're seeing it just as you, it's just you, and this is finite you, then you're not going to see it. You're completely miss it. It's going to fly straight. You're not even going to see it. You're not going to see it. You're not going to experience it. And you're going to miss out on so many beautiful experiences, so much beautiful color that's right there, so much beauty that's all around you, so much meaning, so much abundance that is everywhere. You can trip over it, things like that. You're going to miss it. So back to the scripture, that's basically what he was talking about. And so when he was talking about whoever's the greatest, yeah, okay, so I'm talking about the experience that you're going to have is going to be so much of a greater experience of life. But guess what? Guess what? Just like our brother Tarcisius, who's no longer with us, who made this transition, okay? We all have to go down that road. Every single one of us. And it is the things that you do in this life. It is the meaning that you build up in this life. You can't take any of that money with you. You're not going to be able to take a dime of it with you. No matter what you're doing, we have some great business people, great people that are able to, that have fortunes and things like that. We have billionaires in this country, and I don't even have like trillionaire or something like that. Let me just say this. You're not going to be able to take a dime of that with you. The dime. You know? When we cross over on this side, billionaires and trillionaires are going to be just like us. They're going to be just like us. But what you will have is the things that you were able to build, that meaning that you were able to build, that spiritual currency that you were able to build in this life, you see, you will have that. Whoever will be greatest must be last and servant of all. Make no mistake, Rabbi Yeshua is great. I say he is great because he hasn't gone anywhere. Life is eternal. So that being known as Rabbi Yeshua is great because he was a servant, you see. He was a servant. He was a servant in first century Palestine. Guess what? You have the same opportunity in front of you. The same opportunity. But it's not going to come from that finite way of looking at things. It's not going to come from that whole me, my, I perspective. It's not going to come from any of those things. It's going to come from a recognition that you are part of a whole. And that this is your function. To leave this world a better place than when you left it, than when you came. To leave this world better, for you haven't been here. That is your function. So, how do we do that? How do we create that practice? Because we discuss practical ways, practical Christianity here. That's what we do, practical Christianity. So, I will say, I'm going to say about meditation. I'm going to say about gratitude. I'm going to say all these different things. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to go through these things, but going forward, I'm also going to put seeing yourself as part of a whole. That's going to be part of the same basic list going forward after this. That's going to be part of that. You know something? And that's my fault that I haven't been including that. Seeing yourself as part of a whole makes a huge difference. I take full responsibility for not including that. But let's just start with meditation. Meditation is so important for sorting through those thoughts, sorting through all of the chatter that's in your mind, sorting through it all. Meditation is so important. It is so important. It is like my primary go-to. It is my primary go-to for giving talks, as a matter of fact. All the ideas and the ways that I express things come from, when I'm meditating. And I meditate a lot. And I'm not going to get into how much I meditate because I'm not trying to, scare anybody. But I meditate a lot. Just know that I meditate a lot. Okay? And I'm not doing it for no reason. I'm doing it because there's this brilliance that I'm experiencing when I'm meditating. There's this brilliance that's in the silence. There's this brilliance. And if I get all that little chatter out of the way, guess what? I begin to experience all these different ideas that just begin to pop into my head like popcorn over time. The longer I spend in the silence, the more I experience it. The longer I spend in the silence, the more I experience it. So, gratitude. Gratitude is part of that creating meaning. Gratitude helps open my eyes to what's really abundant, Because if I'm not doing the constant gratitude practice, I'm going to miss a whole lot of that abundance that's already there. I can trip over it. I'm not even seeing it, So gratitude helps me see it. Gratitude helps me, hey, that's more abundance, more and more. Gratitude helps me do that. Gratitude raises my consciousness so I can see more of the abundance that already is. It's already expressing itself. It's already there, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to try to change anything. I don't have to try to push anything. I don't have to try to influence anything. No, it's already there. If I just get out of the way and change the way I see it, guess what? I'll see it. It's already there. Gratitude helps me see it. I would invite you to use gratitude as part of your regular practice so you can see more of the abundance that already is. There's nothing that you have to do. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to try to, anything. There's no this huge thing that has to be exerted. No, it's already there. If you don't see it, use some more gratitude. Gradually you'll see it. If you still don't see it, guess what? Use some more gratitude. Gradually you'll see it. Building a relationship with Spirit. Knowing that I'm not in this thing alone. Building a relationship with Spirit. Knowing that there is a presence that I can go to before I go to people and personalities that are already dealing with so many things on their own, that already have all kind of false ideas about themselves. Why would you go to another personality about it? I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. Especially personalities that's not working on themselves. Personalities that are not really working on themselves and they're busy blaming people and things like that, and why things are and stuff like that. They're not. So I would just invite you to speak to the superior source that lives within you. We're not talking about you have to go in. We're not talking about an outside spirit. We're talking about a spirit that lives in you. We're talking about the right side of your mind, the right part of your mind. Not right side, but the right part of your mind. The part of your mind that doesn't have fear. Because anytime you have fear, there's so many things that you're not going to see. Anytime you have fear, there's so many things you're not going to recognize. And there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear that we go through. There's a lot of fear that we have and stuff like that. But there's a part of you, recognize this, there's a part of you that has no fear. And so I would recognize you tap into that. That part of you that has no fear. To begin to be able to get sound wisdom, sound judgment. Tap into that. Prayer. Prayer helps to change our way of seeing things also. And prayer has this way of just Bam! And we don't even know how prayer works. We don't even know really how prayer works. I mean, we know how to do it, but we don't really know all of the principles that just automatically access, all the universal principles that automatically access through prayer. Prayer is like people that play video games, like a cheat code, It's like, it's like your way to change things, but you're not really trying to change the thing itself. You're trying to change your way of seeing the thing so you can actually see the perfection that already is. It's already, but you're just not seeing it that way. You're missing something. There's something that you're missing, and that something that you're missing is rooted in how you're seeing yourself. So prayer helps to correct that. And then I would say, a willingness to see yourself as part of a whole. A willingness to see yourself as part of a whole. You are not just that finite whatever. And there's so much that you're going to miss from that finite view. That finite view has fear attached to it. It has insecurities attached to it. There's so many things with that finite view that you're just not going to get. It's just going to miss it. You're just going to miss it. Understand that you're part of a whole. And that whole is more closer to you than that finite you that you keep thinking is you, that you just want to just make it be the end all be all. That whole is more like the you than what you think is a you. And the willingness to recognize that. It doesn't mean that you're going to see it right then and there, but if you're actually willing, you're going to actually set forces in motion in the universe that are actually going to reveal it to you over time when you're willing. See, nothing is forced on any of us. Nothing will ever be forced on any of us, you see? That's the nature of love. Nothing is forced. If you want to live in your illusions that this is just you, then live in your illusions. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But just know that there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to miss out on. That's all. Just know that. There's a lot of things that you're going to miss out on from that finite view. A whole lot of things. A whole lot of beautiful things. A whole lot of beauty and abundance. And if you're willing to do that, then okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Because you are the captain of everything that you experience. You are the captain. And the next I would say is a willingness to give in love. Whatever that giving in love is, whatever it is, when you're coming from that place, that, hey, you're a part of a whole, the things that you do are going to be completely different from the things that you do when you're coming from that finite perspective. Just know that. And so willing to express from that place would naturally have you giving in love. Whatever that giving in love is, I'm not talking about form here. I'm talking about the content of it, giving in love, whatever it is. Ideas, whatever. There's so many different ways that you can give. There's so many ways that you can give, as a matter of fact, to this church. I'm not talking about the traditional ways of giving. Yes, there's that way too. But each one of you can do certain things and has certain gifts that perhaps this church can benefit from. Case in point, we have a person who is a mental health care mental health professional, and so they provide crisis counseling in case anyone is in crisis after church. They provide crisis counseling. Okay, you see, that's a way that they can give. You see, what can you do? There's all sorts of things you can do. It doesn't have to be conventional. There's all sorts of things you can do. Because you're getting something from this ministry. You're getting some beautiful messages, beautiful being with congregants, loving congregation. So for this congregation to thrive, it depends on you. Period. It just depends on you. It depends on what you're willing to bring forth as far as beautiful gifts that you have, that only you have. And that's what this congregation needs, you see. That's what this world needs. Not just this congregation, not just this church. This world needs that. There's no greater gift than giving as far as to help someone. That's how you create meaning. And a life that's not meaningful is a life that's not worth living at all. A life that is not meaningful is a life that is not worth living. So create meaning in your life. And you will see a whole new world. The whole world will begin to transform. Just be mindful of the way that you're seeing. And be willing to come from that place, from that truth, that you are one with everything. And so that is your function as one with everything. To serve, to give of yourself. And knowing that you're still getting 10 times what you think that you're giving. You're receiving it. Because you're going to receive it in meaning, a meaningful life. You're going to receive it in meaning. Everybody with me? Okay. So I got an affirmation for everybody. Okay, so everybody repeat after me. I have 3 statements. First statement. I willingly relinquish any predispositions with individualized thoughts and ideas. Next statement. I affirm that I am one with my brothers and sisters, my community, and my world. Third statement. I affirm greater versions of myself, manifesting into visibility through love, service, and transformation. Brothers and sisters, you go and be that light that your Father, Mother, God intended for you to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Stephen, for that very inspiring message. And now it's time for tithes and offerings. Let's start with the abundance blessing. Divine love flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Divine love flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Divine love flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. In the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, in the name of the Holy Spirit, it is so now. And now for our announcements. Electronic giving is available at the front desk in the lobby. Just scan the QR code. Copies of today's service are available on CD at the front desk. And you can find us on YouTube and Facebook. Next Sunday, September 29th, Reverend Angela Davis will be delivering the Sunday message. And please see the newsletter which comes out on Thursdays for details. Did everyone receive an email invitation for our installation ceremony? It will take place on October 27th, Sunday. And if you plan to attend, please email us at unityofneworleans@gmail.com with your name, as this will be a catered event. And you can see more information in the newsletter as well. In November, we're looking to start a grief support group that will meet monthly for anyone in need of a safe space to openly share with people who are going through something similar. And more information is available also in the newsletter. Are you signed up for the newsletter? You need to be with so many things going on. If not, please see the front desk. There's a card you can manually fill out, or if you prefer, you can scan the QR code and sign up electronically. Do we have any new visitors today? If so, please stand and introduce us to yourself. Let us know how you found out about Unity. No, it's no one meet you. Your name?
My name is Maury. And
Are you visiting New Orleans?
no, I live here.
And how did you find out about Unity?
I'm friends with Mary Beth,
Okay.
and we've attended our classes together for many years.
Well, thanks for coming. We're very happy to have you. Hi.
My name is Michael. I'm local. My fiance's mother went to Unity in Mississippi. My fiance is an atheist, and she will be joining me at some point. Not just to support me, right? I've tried to find churches over the years, and I'm happy to be here.
Thanks for coming. We're happy to have you as well. Any other new visitors? Okay. If you see speak to myself or someone else on the service team or at the front desk, there's a card that you can fill out so you can start receiving my newsletter and start joining us more often here. Okay, prayer chaplains are available after the service. They will be at the front here. We can have prayer in total confidentiality. And please honor this sacred space after the service and take your conversation out to the family room. On Saturday, October 5th, there will be a memorial for Tarsisius Delphio, cherished member of our congregation. There are no details available yet, but as they become available, they will be in the newsletter. My name is Lydia, and I've been a member of Unity for a long time, about 30 years probably. I serve in the choir, I serve as a platform speaker, and I also serve as a board member. And if anyone is interested in any kind of sacred service, please speak with me after the service is over. And it is now to our prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is and all is well. And the midst of the Lord watches between me and thee while we're absent, one from the other, and helps us to know that we are all one spirit, through the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Please join in full circle for our peace song.